a 2001 Lexus LS430. We're replacing the window regulator and window motor. I've already taken the door panel off. That's covered by a separate video. And I've already tried replacing the switch here, but it still does not fix the problem of my window not going up from time to time. So the first step is I'm going to take away this plastic barrier and try to save it for reuse. Just going to use a razor blade right here to carefully free up the adhesive that sticks the vapor barrier to the door. Trying to preserve as much of that as I can so I can reuse it and re-stick it back down later. Carefully put this aside and make sure it doesn't get too folded up. Next I'm going to remove this speaker from the door. I have a couple dangling wires right here, but there's an electric protection right here and three bolts, 3 10mm bolts. Pinch this and pull it out. That's disconnected. Okay, I got all 3 bolts out. Should be able to just pull this thing out. And there we are. Got this thing. It's still connected to a little wire tie right here. But now I have access to this area too to help deal with the window. Now I'm going to lower the window a little bit, turn the key on. Okay. Okay, so I've got to the point where I can get to this bolt right here, which holds the window in. And there are 2 10mm bolts that hold the window to the regulator. This is why we move the window partway down so we can access this left bolt right here. That's the gold color bolt right there. And the other bolt is behind the speaker in here. The other bolt right there. So both of those are attached to the window. So I'm going to remove both those bolts to be able to take the window up. I've already removed the bolt from the right side of the regulator. I'm going to remove the bolt from the left side of the regulator right now. Now that both bolts have been removed, you should be able to raise the glass manually now. Coming out of this one here and still a little bit stuck over here. Just need to free it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm getting the glass to go up. So I have it up and out of the way. So now we can deal with the regulator and the motor. So I pulled the glass most of the way up, put some tape on it to protect it to keep it from sliding down accidentally. Now the regulator and the motor complex can be removed next. And one of the first things I did was I disconnected the electrical power cord to the motor, which is right here. I've already partially pulled it out, but you need to pull it straight out. A little connector like that. And the actual regulator now has a series of bolts. There's 4 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and also 2 bolts right here that will be removed in order to remove the actual regulator. The 5 of the 6 bolts will be completely removed, but this bolt will just be loosened up slightly because it has this little opening here to support the regulator once you get the other 5 bolts out. So we'll go ahead and do that next. I've taken 5 of the 6 bolts out. I still have this one still holding everything up, so I'm just going to loosen that up a little bit right now. Not completely take it out. Now that it's loose, I should be able to pull it upward and get it through this little hole and take the whole regulator out. Push this little grommet in a little bit right here so it can clear it. Put some gloves on because it's a little greasy here. Out a little bit. Okay, and there is our regulator and window out, window motor removed. So now that the old regulator and motor group is out, that's the gold color one above. The new unit I bought is below. The new unit came with a motor separate, so I need to take these screws out of the old motor and use those screws to mount the new motor into my new regulator. They use a Torx type of screw. Okay, so I've attached the new motor to the new regulator using the Torx screws, 3 Torx screws I took out of the old unit. I put back in one of the bolts part way right here to go right in here and help me put it in. So now I just need to basically squeeze this thing back in somehow. Hopefully it'll go in without too much trouble. Get this thing out of the way a little bit. A little bit of a tight fit to go back in. Bolt. My hand through the hole where the speaker was. Leverage. Okay, so I got that bolt in here. That helps me line it up. I can also put this thing right here, make sure this thing's lined up where the power thing goes in. So now I can tighten this down a little bit and put some more bolts in to stabilize it. Now I still need to get this little thing up a little bit here. Line it up here so it's in with this hole here and that hole there. I got all the 6 screws in place, finger tight. I made sure that this little round thing is lined up with this hole here. So now I just go ahead and tighten all the bolts down. Okay, so I got the regulator in. I got this thing ready to plug in. Now I'm going to get the window down and screw these last two bolts in where the window goes. Start lowering the glass here. Well, it's still in the channel, so hopefully it won't be too hard to get it lined up. Got that one in place, and this one I think is just a little bit offline. Okay, we've got it all back together, and I got the engine electrical on, and we're going to test it out. It's going down. Everything looks good. The new regulator, new motor looks like it's doing just fine. And that's basically the end of the thing. Let's put everything back together, kind of in reverse steps of what we took it apart.